Hello and good evening. This is Bible Answers. My name is Evan Gregory, and we are working our way through the Book of John. And so we haven't wasn't able to do this for the last few weeks, but we were slowly working our way through John. We're going to be looking at the first part of John chapter 5 this evening. And if you'd like to follow along with your Bible, you can, but we do have all of our verses that we'll be using on the screen here. As always, this is a live show. If you got any questions, comments, feel free to leave them here. I'll try to respond. Also, our shows afterwards are put on YouTube. So I know for whatever reason, at least in my opinion, it seems like if you're trying to view a show later after it is live, it seems to go better if it is seen on YouTube. And so you can also see past videos on YouTube. We have quite a few, and our YouTube page is North Columbus Church of Christ. You subscribe, and we would definitely appreciate it. And you'll be notified when these videos are posted as well. And so, if I haven't said it, this is brought to you by the North Columbus Church of Christ, located in Columbus, Mississippi. And our website is northcolumbuschristians.com. And there you can find out more about us. So, getting right into the lesson again, we're looking at John chapter 5. A few weeks ago, we finished up John chapter 4. Chapter 4, primarily dealing with the Samaritan woman, and then later, Jesus healing the nobleman's son. And so that takes us into chapter 5. And so it says, after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. And these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" So Jesus is back in Jerusalem. Remember, he was going up to, in chapter 4, he was going up through Samaria into the area of Galilee. Now he's back south to Jerusalem. And we're introduced to this pool. It says, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda. And so, kind of an interesting story. We have this pool where these sick people, the blind, lame, paralyzed, they're laying around this pool, and this pool, through it, they were able to be healed at certain times. It says here that an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. And of course, whoever stepped in first was made well of whatever diseases had. Just that's fascinating to me, and so we see this pool that people were huddling around, trying to be cured of their disease. But we see this man, it says that he had an infirmity 38 years. Okay. And so if you think about it, he's around these people in the pool, he's in the community. He's had this for such a long time. Nope, everybody that was around him would know that he had a problem. And so there was no denying or questioning of who this guy was, or whether or not he had a legit ailment. And so Jesus sees him there, and he asks, "Do you want to be made well?" Now again, he says, and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time. He said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" I think there's a point there that he's been sick a long time. Jesus knew that he had this problem a long time. And so, what would be the point of Jesus asking this question? Do you want to be made well? We'll see here later on. And so, again, I think Jesus is making a point here with this man that has been sick for so long, and why what Jesus does afterwards is so remarkable and couldn't be denied. And so that takes us into verses 7 through 9. It says, the sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water stirred up. But while I'm coming, another steps down before me. Jesus said to him, Rise, take up your bed and walk. Immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was the Sabbath. And so the problem with this man is he can't get down to the pool quick enough when this pool is stirred up. Somebody comes down before me. Somebody is quicker. I think we can all relate to that. We're in line or waiting on something. There's always somebody that's a little quicker than us that cuts in front of us. And this is this guy's problem. He just can't make it in time. And so Jesus tells him, notice what he says. He says, Rise, take up your bed and walk. And immediately that man was made well. He was not waiting 2 weeks. He was not waiting a month. He was not saying, hey, go down to your doctor and your doctor is going to cure you. Jesus tells him to rise and to walk. And immediately it says that man was made well. He took up his bed and walked. So he was healed immediately. Okay. And so quite remarkable miracle that has just take place. This man, he couldn't walk for 38 years. Now he can walk. And not only that, again, we see that he was able to take up his bed. He's fully healed. There's no limping. There's no lack of strength here. He was able to just go about his business like anybody else would. But notice also it says the day was the Sabbath. Okay. And so why do you think the writer here mentions that the day was the Sabbath? And we'll read later on why this is the case. So again, Jesus performs this miracle that can't be denied, that people could witness, and this person witnessed that this person had this infirmity for a long time. He couldn't walk. Now he's up walking, just going about his business. So great miracle that has just occurred. But there is a problem that is brewing here. So verses 10 through 14 says, the Jews therefore said to him who was cured, it is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed. Think about that statement there. That this man has just been miraculously cured, not because of this pool, but because of Jesus and what he is saying. And notice what the Jews immediately go for. It says, it is the Sabbath that is not lawful for you to carry your bed. I also find it interesting here that Jesus apparently made his way to this pool. That was okay. Notice also that the Jews were saying that it's not a problem if you're walking around, but it is a problem if you carry your bed. I just find that interesting here, that he was not supposed to be carrying his bed. Never mind that you've been healed. Never mind that you're walking around. And so he answered them, he who made me well said to me, take up your bed and walk. Then they asked him, who is this man who said to you, take up your bed and walk? But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, see, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. So they start looking for Jesus. And notice the guy's response. He says, the person who made me well said to me, take up your bed and walk. And if somebody heals you of that, of course, I will think that you're going to do whatever they tell you to do. They have power over that sickness, that lameness. Certainly, you ought to be paying attention to what they say. And again, that's the point of these miracles, is to verify who Jesus is and verify that message. That Jesus is not some man that's just saying things just to say them. It uses those miracles to verify and confirm the things that he is saying, and so emphasizes his authority. And when he says something, he means that, and we ought to follow that. And so this guy, he has that right mind about it, that he says the guy who's healed me told me to do this. And so again, it's interesting here that they don't start looking for this man to maybe get healed themselves, or we don't see that they're astonished that this person has been healed. The first thing that they get to here is this is a problem because you're doing this on the Sabbath. Okay. And we'll read some other stuff later on in the same section about Jesus, and why that is a problem with doing what they're doing on the Sabbath. But in other places, we read that even though the Jews is thinking that he's breaking the Sabbath, Jesus makes a point using the scripture that no, it's not basically saying if there is an urgent need and an emergency going on, that certain works, especially healing people or taking care of that situation, is not actually breaking the Sabbath. We don't see that here, but this is the case, and so Jesus is not actually breaking the Sabbath or sinning by doing this. And so we see later on, so they couldn't find Jesus. Later on, Jesus finds this man. Notice what he says. He says, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you." So this man, he couldn't walk for 38 years. And he says, "You've been made well, but what should you do?" And he says, "Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you." You act right. You obey God. And if you don't, something worse than not being able to walk is going to come upon you. You're going to be judged spiritually if you continue in sin. And so I think here is we see another point of what Jesus is focused on. That the point here is not the miracles, and Jesus is not to be used as like a goodie bag or some lottery ticket that that whenever there's a problem, we're going to use him to cure me of my sickness, or to if I'm hungry, he's going to conjure up me some food. This is not the point of all this, and a lot of people have or made that mistake during his times. But his focus is on the spiritual matters. He's not worried about. He's not telling them, "Hey, you need to start doing your exercises and build up your leg muscles, or do this or that or the other." He tells them, "Don't sin. Obey God. This is more important. And if you don't, something worse is going to come upon you than that sickness, that infirmity." So it takes us to verses 15 through 18. It says, "The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus who has made him well. For this reason, the Jews persecuted Jesus and sought to kill him because he had done these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, My Father has been working until now, and I have been working. Therefore, the Jews sought all the more to kill him because he not only broke the Sabbath, but also said that God was his Father, making himself equal with God." So the man who knows who Jesus is, he tells them, and they seek to kill him. They persecuted him and they wanted to kill him. Why? Because he had done these things on the Sabbath. And again, it's just kind of wild that the Jews are so stubborn that they get so stuck on that he broke the Sabbath, or according to them, he broke the Sabbath, and not recognizing the things that he's doing. But notice what Jesus says, "My Father has been working until now, and I have been working." And so he says, "I've been working, I've been performing these miracles," and he's also including the Father. He's including God the Father here in this work as well. That God is playing a part with what's happening here. And notice the response. It says, "Therefore the Jews sought all the more to kill him because, according to them, he not only broke the Sabbath, but he said that God was his Father, making himself equal with God." So that part is true. He did not break the Sabbath, but him making himself equal with God is true here. That they understand what Jesus is saying here. The Father's been working. I've been working. Therefore, we're working on this together. And so the conclusion here is that here the Father, being God, he's making himself equal with God. We're saying that they have this same work, this same mindset as well. And so by doing this, he's got the Jews stirred up. But again, we see this instance here that Jesus is not some lesser being than God. That he's not just a prophet that has the ability to perform miracles. Notice what Jesus himself is saying, and the conclusion on that. The Jews knew exactly what he was saying. He's making himself equal with God. He's not just a prophet. He's not just some man, but he's making himself equal with God. And so that takes us finally to verses 19 through 23. It says, Then Jesus answered and said to them, Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner, for the Father loves the Son, and shows him all things that he himself does. And he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom he will. For the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son, that he should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. So, quite powerful statements that Jesus here is making. He says, The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. So, what he's saying is the Son is watching, he's doing exactly what the Father does. That they are in a lockstep here. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. The Son is imitating God. And so again, it says, For the Father loves the Son and shows him all things that he himself does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. So again, this working, he shows him all things that he himself does, these miracles that are being performed. Again, God the Father and the Son working together here. Notice also he says, For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom he will. And so Jesus had not raise this man from the dead. He will do that, but he's healing something that is just incurable, right? And so even in that sense, he's just giving life to those things that were no longer there. These body parts that previously did not work. And so the Son has this power just like the Father does. So again, equating himself with God. Notice also he says the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son. So the Son has great authority. The words that he's speaking, the decisions that Jesus is making here on this earth now, has some power and authority. That all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. So pretty strong statements here saying the Son, again, we've said it multiple times here, that the Son is equal with the Father. They are together in this endeavor. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. So if you're honoring one, you have to honor the other. If you don't honor one, you don't honor the other. If you're going to be obeying one, you have to obey the other. And if you don't obey one, then you don't obey the other. And so clear statements here Jesus making, and you think about the Jews, how the Jews would think about this, and the response of that, as we've seen so far, that it's a pretty good bet, that pretty good idea that what Jesus is saying here, the Jews would view as blasphemous. They're already trying to figure out a way to kill him, and this will just continue to rile them up. But all these things that Jesus is saying is true, and the problem is people won't put two and two together. They don't understand what's going on. They get so caught up. Well, he broke the Sabbath, which he didn't, and just completely overlook the things that he is doing. That's impossible. That no man could do that. And we see these instances of these people, like this Samaritan woman and those in Samaria, that they understand it, but we have the Jews here that they, in large part, don't. And so that ends our lesson today. Next time, we'll Lord willing, we'll continue on with chapter 5. We might try to finish it the next time. Uh, we try to. It doesn't work out all the time, but we do try to have these Sundays at 7 p.m. and nothing happens. We'll be back here next Sunday at the same time with more Bible answers. And again, if you got a question or comment, as long as it's Bible related, it doesn't have to be about this specific topic, but leave those and I'll try to respond to it. Until next time, I hope that you all have a good day and a good rest of the week. Thanks.